So what we're going to do is we're going to make a skinny string, 8 strands, Dyneema 02 for a 62-inch mohawk. And first thing I want to do is, I know the length of the string. It should be 16 1/4 inches, so I'll set my jig for 16 1/4 inches. Lock it down really good. And begin putting on the Dyneema. I got brown and we've got some yellow for contrast. So it's going to be a 2-color skinny 8-strand string for a 55-pound bow. 55-pound longbow, hybrid longbow, or a semi-hybrid. So it's going to be 8 strands. We have to go around here twice. So there's once. Lay it right up on top. And here's twice. And the idea is to get the strands to lay on top of one another, not underneath or scrunched up. And I'll give it one wrap around here, and then down, and lock it in with a little thumb wheel I got. And then cut the excess off. I'll do the same thing with the next color. I'm going to put a loop in one end. And the reason I like to use a loop is because it's easier to manipulate, move it around. The same thing, I'm going to lay it on top. Take my Dyneema, lay it on top of the last strand that was in here. Just to lay on top of it. Come back down. That's one loop. Here's the second loop. And I'm not pulling really tight. I'm not leaving it loose. I've got a little bit of tension on it. You want a little bit of tension. And come around to the last pose. Zip it around. Pull off. And just lock it in to the base. Okay. 16 1/4 inches. Now we're going to turn the arm. I'm going to pull it to me. Make it nice and tight. Now, since this is a skinny string, you have to pad it, because 8 strands is just not enough to offer cushioning protection for the serving that's going to go on up here. So I'm going to use some, what am I going to use? There's all kinds of things I can use. I'm going to use some B50. It doesn't have to be Dyneema. Now what I'll do here is a loop across the arm. I'm going to, this is a total of, should be 6 strands here altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to add 4 strands to this. I'll loop it around here once. Actually, I should loop it around this side, make it easier. That's 2, 3, and here's the 4th strand. Come around, and once again, tie it into this little thumb screw. There we go. Now, I'll put a little wax on it. Just a little, not much. And rub it in with the fingers. And I like to use good old number 4 nylon for all of my serving. For loop serving only. Not for center serving. Center serving, you want to use something synthetic that's really tough. So I'll wax it to make it stiff and loop through. And then I'm just going to separate some of these strands here, stick it in, and I'm going to begin turning it. Now I just picked a random spot on here. It doesn't really matter where you do it. Get it good and locked in. And have it come off the jig on your left side. Snug it up. and then just begin to serve. And I'm going to do maybe 3 inches of serving. Or if you want to get fancy, you can do this. I mean, you go a lot faster if you kind of bump it up and down. Let's see, that's not 3 inches, I know. A little bit more to go. Okay, that's probably close to 3 inches. Yeah, pretty much so. We've got tag end here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to form the loop, and I like to make this the top loop. So what I will do is remove all the points that are anchoring down the string, since we've actually locked the string together with this loop serving. So I'll undo the wingding here, the wing nut, and start to undo some of these strands that was what held it down. And then at this post where I put the loops on the strands, both the brown and the yellow and the red, which is the padding, and I'm just going to cut them so we don't need them anymore. A nice big loop in there makes it easy to cut. And I'll try and pull these things through. Don't have to, but it's a nice thing to do. There we go. There's the brown. And there's the yellow. There we go. Now what we're going to do is turn the jig. Turn the jig. Oh, there's a couple more strands on this side from the padding loop. We need to cut them also, some of the reds. So all the strands are free.
You're doing good, honey.
Good.
You're really thinning out the sides.
Good.
I asked them if they wanted me to go up there and show them what I meant.
Okay, maybe you should go out and tell them.
I did.
I bet you will.
Rob's wife is monitoring the tree cutting going on
I will cut
outside.
that out.
Oh.
I can do that. Okay. Now what we'll do is turn the arm, because we're going to create this loop. So I'll undo the big wingding, and very carefully. I don't want too much disturbance because I like the layered order that I put the strands in there. And I will just move it around, put some tension on here. And I'll put a little tension on here. Pull all this extra goop out. I might thin some of this out just to make it easier, take some of the knots off. And I need to measure the loop. Now, I like about a 1 1/4 inch loop for the end, so I got ways to go. That's about right. I like that for my top loop. This way I can slide the string off up and down pretty easily. And now it's going to be a question of get this tag end off. Question of pulling this nice and tight. Since it's wax, they'll sit together pretty well. And
You want me to move over closer?
yeah, let's do that. Yeah, just move the whole thing over. You can leave it running. Doesn't matter, because I can always fix that. Whatever is going to be easiest.
I just want people to be able to see the loop.
Yeah.
There we go.
And action. So here's the strands from the loop, from the actual strands themselves, and then we've got the tag ends of the padding which come down into here, that meet in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock them in. Okay, after a few turns, I'm going to start to remove some of the padding loops, strands rather. And I'll take 2 out over here, pull them in tight, here's another pair of 2 I'm going to take off of here. And go right over that. Now, if there's gaps in the serving itself, don't panic over that. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes because of all the padding that's in here, it's very difficult to get them to lie exactly together one over another. It's really more of an aesthetic thing than it is function.
Hold your hand underneath if you can. There you go. That's better. Yeah, so they can see. You know, if you can.
Yeah. Hard to do.
I know, yeah. But from this angle, all I was seeing was your hand.
Okay. Okay. Now, let's get some more of the padded strands out of there. Here's 2 more, or 3 more. Well, 2 more. Don't take too many at once, because if you do, they really won't lie down well and they'll bunch up. So by tapering this, by removing strands at different intervals, you can kind of taper this whole thing down. You can kind of lock it all in. Okay. Now I'm going to take 2 more of the padded strands out, 2 more of the reds. It's nice to use a different color if you can, because obviously you'll know what are pad strands as opposed to what are actual string fiber loop strands. There we go. That's fine. Okay, and we're going down a ways, and now it's going to be time to take out some of the actual. I'm just going to do one at a time, so I really want these to taper down and lock in well. And let's take all the brownies out. And last but not least, another brownie. And then a yeller. That's all the strands. And I've got marked on this length from the post, so I like to make the loop serving about 4 inches. So I'll take it up to around 4 inches. There's no need to make it more than need be, because it's not touching the limb, because this is a long bow. And here I'm taking a piece of number 64 from BCY. It's serving. It's really heavy serving, it's about 26, and I've waxed it well. I'm going to use it as a whipper. Put it underneath. I'll lift it over. I'll pull down. I get some excess. Cut that off. And now by hand, I'll make 4 turns or so. This is just the way I like to do a whipped end. Pull it through. Get a pair of pliers. Pull it in nice and tight. There we go. Now, that's about it. There's a top loop. And now we need to make the bottom loop. Well, how do you make the bottom loop? Well, it's really pretty easy. Undo the tension. Take this off. Try not to twist the other end. Put the loop end on this post. That would be the top loop of your bow. And up here is now going to be the bottom. And I'm going to put some tension on it. And now I like to make my bottom loops about 1 inch. So what I'll do is measure from the post out 1 inch and put, I've got an alligator clip that's got some neoprene hose on it, and that's to protect the string. And I'll put one on one side and one on the other. And the one closest to the post I want to be 1 inch away, and it certainly is. And then I'll take the other, take the other and put it about a ½ inch or so away from it. And that's to, so that we can close the loop, close it, and close this endless loop up nice. So now that I've marked the 2 spots, we're going to spin it. And here's what you do. Get off, lay it back down on, pull it tight, lock it in, get some of your loop serving material, wax it up, and I'm just going to do what I did before, except what I did for the top loop, except now I'm going to put it separated into the strands. Well, actually, I've actually kind of screwed up, because what I forgot to do was padding. Ha! Can't forget your padding. We're going to do the same thing for this. We're going to put some padding in there. As soon as I saw that there was only 4 strands, I knew I was in trouble. So let's add some loop, some padding loops. Make it the red. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Swing it around. Bring it down underneath. Unscrew. Cut it off. And we'll leave that too. And just sink it down into the clips. There's our spot. And now I can put the serving, a nylon serving, a nylon loop serving into it. And once again, just it goes into the strand somewhere, anywhere. Give yourself an inch or so out here, and then just begin wrapping it around. You do the first part by hand. Now take this off. There it is. And now we'll take this. Make sure that it comes off the spool to your left. Snug it up. And then we've got to serve that whole length. And that'll be the perfect length for a about a 1 inch loop, bottom loop for the string. I'm getting close to the alligator clip, and I've hit the alligator clip, but as you can maybe see from here, the serving isn't dead set up against the alligator clip. I've got to increase that distance, so I'm going to move it over about a 1/4 inch that I'm missing and continue it. And once it hits the clip, I know I've hit that spot, or pretty much so. It doesn't have to be super accurate, perfect. And we're going to remove the padded loops, the padding strands for the pads. We're on this side. Okay. And do the same thing we did before. Take it off. Now here's where you can easily run into a problem. Well, not really. This 1 inch is fine. Sometimes if the loops are really, really tiny and they won't come around the the post won't give you much room to move the serving tool, you can add a little S hook in here. It gives you more room. Once again, I'm going to pull this tight.
That's tight.
Get my foot up against it. And got a lot of crazy X's here. I'm going to get rid of a lot of it. Get it out of my way. And I've got the tag end of the serving where I started. I'm just going to snug that up real close now. And begin to serve this. Serve it tight. And look at that. It made 1-inch loop. Isn't that amazing? See how easy it is? It's not rocket science. That's for sure. And basically do the same thing with this bottom loop that I did with the top loop. Get some turns here and we'll begin taking off 2 at a time some of these padding strands. There's 2. Get rid of them. Here's another 2. Yeah, it takes longer to do a padded string, a skinny string, than it would if you weren't padding. But you really need to do this for these skinny strings because you want some cushioning up at the loop. It helps the string, helps the knot. Take 2 more off. Down a ways with this one, and I think we can take another couple off here. And then the last 2. Nope, 3. Whatever. Smooth it down so that it'll lie flat and we'll get up to it. And then I'll take it down for 4 inches, for the 4-inch mark.
Okay.
Okay, just added some wax to it and twisted it up a little bit, a few turns, and you can see that you get that nice kind of zebra-like effect of a 2-strand string, a 2-color string rather. And so now I need to do center serving, so I like doing my center serving this way. I put, this is just the initial one. You put the bow square on there. Look at that, perfect, absolutely perfect. Almost 6, not quite 6.5 inches. So what I want to do is mark where the top and bottom goes. This is the top, and then I'll come down a little ways because I don't have any arm slap, so I can use a small. If you're going to get arm slap on your, you're going to want to drop it down a bunch more, 7 inches, maybe 8 inches, but I don't get that, so I can make it really tiny. So why make it tiny? Why? Because you want to save serving? No, because it makes the string lighter. Lighter strings are faster strings. There's no sense of putting serving material where it's not going to do any good. So now that I marked those areas, take that off of my mohawk, and serve this puppy. And I use, for this skinny string, 019 Halo. Of course I can't find it when I want it. This is number 2, dude. Where's my Halo? Here's my Halo. Dude, that's the heavy Halo. Okay, I've got my halo. This is .019 halo. This is a different jig. This is a cardinal jig. I'll wax it up. Bottom limb to my left. I'm a right-handed shooter. This is a right-handed string. So where it comes off the serving, that always goes to my left. So I'm going to come up in here. I'm going to go under. I'm going to go over. And freehand some of these in here. I can take this off now. Don't need it. And now that I've got that, I can snug it up. Always making sure that where it comes off, not the spool, but where it comes off the guides. In this case, my guide is to the left. Sometimes it'll come straight off the spool. Wherever it comes off, it's going to be on your left if you're serving from left to right, as I am here. So, snug it up. And I'll put some good turns in here. And now I can cut the free end off. I know how to cover, which I do. Take the tag end off. Boom. And basically serve this up. Now I'm just going to do this as an overlap, but if I wanted to, I could do this and make it go really fast. But maybe I should do that because nobody wants to watch it sitting here. So we'll just let it spin itself out around. Spin that serving. Here we go. We're having fun. Yay! And once again, this is off by, gosh, about almost a ½ inch. So I've got to readjust this out about a ½ inch or so, you know, more or less. And that will make sure that I'm going to create a center serving of the proper distance that I require. Don't need this anymore. Now I get my whipper snapper. There's my whipper. And I might just freshen it up because that wax really helps to slide it right on through. I like to use a whipping strand that's large, thick. This is 026. Makes pulling through a lot easier. Double it up. Put it underneath. Pull it up on top. Put your finger on there, pull this through. Get rid of the excess. There's a loop on top. Now I'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Whipped. Cinch it up. Cut the tag end off. Now I'm going to put a temporary knocking point in. Use B50. And I've marked the T-square where I like my knocking point to go. And I do it with an overhand knot. And I've got a spot marked on here. There it is. And now I just make a series of overhand knots. And they can be not one knot over the other or next to another. It really doesn't matter that much. I don't think. Okay. And I'm going to do one more with a triple. I don't know why. It's the right thing to do. And that's going to be my knocking point. What I will do, hopefully this works. Yes, it does. Now put a little thin CYA. I use hot stuff. And I'm just basically going to coat it with the hot stuff on the outside. And give it a minute or two, and it'll harden up. I also like to put 1 drop of CYA at all of the servings. Do you have to do it? No. But why not? Just let that set a spell and cure. And when she's all cured, these are going to be really stiff, and you just cut them straight off. And there you got yourself a knocking point that can move. You can move that point up and down if you want. If it doesn't give you the kind of arrow flight you want, or if the arrow starts porpoising, porpoising is taken care of by the knocking point, and you'll make the adjustment as need be. There you go.
And there you go.